Hello, and welcome to Drop the Needle with Saph. Today's album is When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish. So I discovered Billie Eilish about 2 weeks before this album dropped. I was on vacation in Arizona, which was one of my favorite vacations I've ever taken. And we were in the desert, which I loved for some reason. I just loved the scenery. I felt at home there. And I decided to press shuffle on the artist Billie Eilish because I listened to or heard a song at a soccer game, which I'll tell that story later. But I heard one song and it was like, who is this chick? And decided to press shuffle on her artist page because I did not have premium yet. And I listened to a lot of her EP and all of the little singles that she dropped. And then I got back from my vacation and like a week later she dropped her debut album. So this album marked, I was in around 8th grade. It was 2019, so I was in 8th grade. And it marked when I started delving into my own music and like forming my own music taste. So this was very world opening or eye opening to me. I think this is a good album and a great debut album. And yeah, so When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go? It was released March 29th, 2019. Its genre is pop, but I call it experimental pop. Debut album from pop star that lives in a world of its own, gothic, bass-heavy, at turns daring and quite beautiful. This was inspired by Billie's frequent night terrors and lucid dreams. The album juggles dark compulsions with grim eulogies, balancing her feathery vocals with deep, grisly bass. It also is supposed to resemble, like, not only night terrors, but, like, sleep paralysis and sleep paralysis demons. That's what, like, the whole song Bury the Friend is about, is, like, a sleep paralysis demon. So the context of this album is, so first of all, at 14, she put out the song Ocean Eyes on SoundCloud. And she tells a story a lot that she's like, in like a week, she got like 1,000 plays and she thought that was her big break. She's like, savor this moment. This is my moment, right? And obviously she went on to go do way better things and get 1,000 plays on SoundCloud. In preparation for this episode and just in general, I watched the documentary, The World's a Little Blurry, which is the process of her making this album. And if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I pirated it, but it's on Apple TV if you want to watch it. And it's so cool. I love seeing anyone's creative process, and especially her and Phineas. They work so crazy together because they're siblings, so they just have the chemistry automatically. They know what the other one is thinking. But also, she was so young. She was like 15, 16 making this album. She was 17 sweeping the Grammys with them. So no, it was just really cool. And towards the end of the album, we can see her start making my favorite album by her, Happier Than Ever, which I will do because that album means a lot to me. But it's a really cool documentary. So if you haven't watched it or seen clips of it, I would go on YouTube or just pirate it or watch it. It's really good and it provides a lot of context to this album. So this album was produced by her half-brother Phineas, of course. It's very experimental. And this album got a lot of mixed reviews when it won Album of the Year in 2020. Me and my friend like have a debate about this. It's like, what do the Grammys want an Album of the Year? Because, you know, in 2015, I think it was, when Taylor Swift won for 1989, in my opinion, that album is like pop perfection, you know, like the perfect pop album. And it won over To Pimp a Butterfly, which is a experimental rap album that experiments in jazz, you know. They chose perfection over experimentation in that one. But in 2020, just like 5 or 6 years later, they chose experimental pop, Billie's album, over Ariana Grande's Thank You Next, which is another like pop trap perfection. Lana Del Rey's Norman Effin Rockwell, which was, I can't even describe how amazing that album is, how poetic it is. But they chose experimentation over 2 really amazing albums not to mention the other ones that were up. So it's a really interesting debate that me and my friends like to have. But in case of this album, it is definitely very much an experimental album. So Billie was enduring recurring night terrors while recording this album, recalling visions, some real and some imagined, of abductions, severed heads, school shootings in LA, and flames. That's the kind of stuff that was going on in her brain when she was making this album. But yeah, let's get into the production and lyrics. So the intro. It is literally like 7 exclamation points. And I've said this before. I love a good intro and outro. This intro is funny, goofy. You can tell that they were just having fun. And actually in the World's a Little Blurry documentary, you can see them filming this. They were just like chilling in Phineas's bedroom or something like that. And they're just messing around. And she pulls out her Invisalign and is like, my Invisalign is out. Here's the album. But yeah, you can tell that they're having fun. I think that this perfectly sets the tone for the majority of the album. Towards the end, it gets a little sadder, which is what we knew Billie to be. She was known to be like depressed, sad, and she really delves into that in the later into the album. And there's just so many emotions in this entire album. So this is like an oddball moment, and there's oddball moments like this intro throughout the entire album. Absent-minded humming to a track, giggling that reminds us she's still a creative teenage girl and she's just enjoying the ride. So I love that there's very much a lot of personality in this album because she was still 15, 16 creating this. All right, so then we immediately from the intro, which is very like goofy, silly, funny, we like the intro essentially gets cut off into the start of Bad Guy, and so it starts pretty heavy, and so yeah, it goes straight into Bad Guy from the intro, and it's almost like a whiplash effect, which I really like. I love a good transition, but sometimes a lack of transition is the best transition. Another example of this is in Renaissance by Beyonce. Cuff It into Energy is, there's pretty much no transition, but it's the best transition. So to me, Bad Guy is kind of the intro is, here's the tone for the album, we're silly, goofy, having fun, we're just having fun creating music. And then Bad Guy is like, okay, let's get going, let's party. Billie describes Bad Guy as dumb and silly when she talks about it today. And obviously this was one of the biggest songs in 2019. It was everywhere. Okay, so then we go into Zanny. So they wanted the instrumental to feel like you were in secondhand smoke. To me, it feels like I'm at a party and my social battery has died. And I'm not really like fitting in or feeling it. This song is also described as like sincere anxiety over more marrow-shaking bass, narcoleptic beat. Zanny is really good. I like the idea behind it. Okay, so then we got You Should See Me in the Crown. And this is the first song I've ever heard by Billie Eilish. To me, this is a 15-year-old's bad bitch anthem. She starts the song with the sound of like sharpening a knife, which is so badass. It's like a dubstep inspired by the villain Moriarty in the BBC show Sherlock. Even though like the lyrics are very much like a 15-year-old fantasizing, right? There's still a little bit of the depression that she was going through in it when she says, you know, tell me which one is worse, living or dying first, sleeping inside a hearse. Little sprinkles of her depression right now, but we're going to get to it later in the album. Okay, so the next song is All the Good Girls Go to Hell. In the documentary, The World's a Little Blurry, it shows her performing at Coachella for the first time, which was like 2018, 2019. Maybe 2019, right after her debut album dropped, I guess. And she was singing the song, and she forgets the lyrics. And she kind of like makes some stuff up, not making up lyrics, but like she's trying to play it off and stuff. And she was mad at herself afterwards, but I'm like, I love to see like the mess ups, the vulnerability and stuff. So it starts off with My Lucifer is Lonely. And she says, she said in a recent interview that her and Phineas got over in a huge heated fight about this, about how it should start. Should it start as My Lucifer is Lonely or All the Good Girls Go to Hell? And Billie wanted My Lucifer is Lonely, and Phineas wanted All the Good Girls Go to Hell. And they fought and fought and fought, and Billie says she won, right? But she says she listened back to it like a month ago and was like, but the other one was better. So really I didn't win. But I like the way it starts, My Lucifer is Lonely. That's a dope line. So, okay, so then the next song is Wish You Were Gay, is about her wanting a reason for her crush's unattraction towards her. And this is one of my favorites on this album. So the verses count down. It starts with 6 in the first verse and then 12 in the second verse. So the whole song counts down from 12 to 1. And there's a simple guitar in the verses that I really like too. Okay. So When the Party's Over is one of my favorites on the album and probably one of her most popular songs. I feel like y'all should go and watch her perform, like a video of her perform this, or really perform any song, because it sounds the exact same. And what makes me think of watching, like, what gets me on that is seeing her perform this song is insane, because it's very high and it's very soft, but she gets up there every time, and it's gorgeous. In The World's a Little Blurry documentary, she explains the concept for this music video in a home video, and it's very cool to see her creative, like, see the whole concept for the video come to life. I fell in love with her light and airy voice when I heard this in 8th grade. I love how much she's grown as an artist since this album. And I even have Happier Than Ever, her second album. I have a tattoo dedicated to that album on me. But nothing beats young Billie Eilish for me. It is so nostalgic, and it reminds me of a simpler time. Next song is 8. So in my opinion, we're starting to die down. We haven't gotten to Bury a Friend yet. Well, we're about to get to My Strange Addiction 2, which is a kind of a more upbeat. But after Bury a Friend, the tone of the album switches completely. So we still have like 2 more songs till we get to that. It starts with her voice pitched up and seamlessly goes into her regular voice. But paired with the moving instrumental, it's heavenly. So throughout the song, it's kind of goes in waves. It's like her voice is like pitched up and then it goes back down and it goes back up. And I don't know if it's because her voice is pitched up, so it makes, when it goes back to her regular voice, sound deeper. But compared to the other songs, she sounds like she's a little older in this one. But again, it could be like an illusion for my ears, thinking that she does sound older just because her voice is pitched up for half of the song. Okay. Next song is My Strange Addiction, which is a fun little, cute little song. She's a very big Office fan, and she incorporated that into the song. Throughout the song, there's quotes from the episode where Michael screens his movie for The Office, Michael Scarn or whatever. I can't remember what the exact movie was, but yeah, there's like quotes from that in there. This is a nod to the show My Strange Addiction as well, and it talks about how she's become obsessed with somebody. The production of the song is strange, but very cool. I mean, of course, this entire album is very strange, but so cool. But not the productions in the song is strange, but not as strange as what's about to come in Bury a Friend. Now we get into Bury a Friend, and this song is like, I think she wanted it to sound like a sleep paralysis demon in like a sleep paralysis episode. This is the weirdest song on the album by far. The production is wicked and chaotic. So it has like this has a iambic pentameter, which is like a heartbeat, and it's kind of gets skittish when she repeats like "I want to end me," and then there's a screeching sound in the chorus that it's like a really high-pitched screeching sound, and she recorded it at her orthodontist office, which is pretty cool. This transitions into the next song, and I love me a good transition. It transitions into Ilo Milo, which she says that, like, around this time, she said this was one of her favorite songs that she had created. Her light and airy voice complements the heavy, smoothly choppy instrumental. Based on the video, it's based off the video game Ilo Milo that she says she used to play it all the time. There's like these chimes in the chorus that are my favorite part. She performs it in the World's a Little Blurry documentary, and Billie's concerts are really cool to me because it's like a light show as well. And there's this part in the song that goes do 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 in the chorus, and it's really cool. And the lights were like flickering, and it just looks so badass. This next song, trigger warning, she talks about suicide. She vividly describes her jumping off a building. All right. Next song is I Love You. This is my favorite song by Billie Eilish. Definitely my favorite song on this album. And it has a very, very gorgeous guitar. Even better vocals. The most beautiful chords and harmonies I have ever heard. After this song, we get immediately into the outro, which is called Goodbye. I love when an album closer is a reprise of all the songs, and she does this also in her new album. This is Zanny, but in a different key. And almost every lyric references another song on the album, and that's the end of the album. This is a good album. So, reviews. Rolling Stone rated it a 4.5 out of 5. Pitchfork rated it 7.2 out of 10. And you know, of course I had to do this. The Grammys Album of the Year in 2020. And she swept the Grammys. She got 5 Grammys. She swept Best New Artist, like Best Pop Song, Best Song, Album of the Year. She swept them. So thank you for listening to Drop the Needle with Saph. I do have an Instagram. It's at Drop the Needle with Saph, all lowercase. I do have a TikTok. It's at Drop the Needle with, all lowercase. Please flood my DMs with album recommendations or your overall thoughts about my podcast. Always looking for suggestions to improve and what y'all would like to hear. Thank you for listening, and this is Drop the Needle with Saph.